Welcome. Good morning. Bienvenidos. I hope you are hanging in there, staying positive, and focusing on what you can control. Thank you for joining us. I hope you have your cafecito ready to go. My name is Patricia Mota, President and CEO for the Hispanic Alliance for Career Enhancement, a national nonprofit whose mission is to positively impact the workplace by cultivating the pipeline of Latino talent and providing them the insight, access, and professional development to be successful in their careers. And happy Women's History Month. It is my pleasure to introduce you all to our special guest today, Melanie Flores. Bienvenida. Good morning, Melanie. How are you today?
Thank you. Good morning. I'm good. Excited to be here. Appreciate it.
We're excited to have you. So Melanie is the director of HSI programs at National Louis University. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that. She's also the Mujeres de ACE alumna and serves as co-chair for our Chicago Alumni Board. And I'm also excited to say that Melanie is our 2021 Mujer de ACE awardee and will get to recognize you during our summit in April. Congratulations, Melanie.
Thank you so much. It's an honor. Happy to serve ACE.
We're so honored to have you here, and you've done so much for Mujeres in general and the work that you're doing and with students. And so before we get started, as we always do here on our Cafecito con ACE, what is how do you prepare your café or your morning beverage of choice?
Yes, so I love some espresso. So I make some bustelo in the morning with oat milk and a little bit of sugar or vanilla sweetener. That's my go-to coffee.
Bustelo, that's been a popular one. Oat milk has been a popular one. We've been hearing that quite a bit. So Melanie, can you share a little bit about your cultural, your career background as well with us? And those of you tuning in, please get your questions ready. Feel free to add your comments. I hope you're having a great start to this Wednesday. Melanie, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So my background, I'm a Latina, proud Puerto Rican, and I grew up in Chicago. My professional background right now, I serve as the director of HSI programs, or now the Centro de Excelencia at NLU. And I'll tell you a little bit about what that means. But I started my career many years ago I'm not that old, but it feels like a long time ago, as a tutor at a nonprofit organization in Chicago. And I kind of worked my way up the ranks to an academic advisor and then a program coordinator, and then made my way to NLU in higher education. But throughout that entire time, everything that I've done in my career has been in education and serving underrepresented first-generation students and helping them with college as well as professional advancement. And I also teach career development at NLU too. So very student-focused, and I love it.
Yeah, and you've also supported, STEM we talked about STEM programs and that, but one thing I did want to touch on, and ACE is always talking to our employer partners, our corporate partners throughout the year, and one core area of our work is typically the talent acquisition piece, the recruitment piece, right? And one thing that we want to make sure we're always sharing awareness on, because it's not as unfortunately as widely known as it should be. I want to say this year and that last year a little bit more, but can you speak to what is an HSI?
Yes.
And why it's so important for employers to know?
Absolutely. And I love this question, and I get it often, even in my own field. There's still some people that don't exactly know, but HSI stands for Hispanic Serving Institution. And what that means at the federal level is that it's an institution that has at least 25% full-time undergraduate students enrolled that identify as Hispanic or Latinx. But it would be remiss of me not to say that it goes beyond that number. In HSI designation, if an institution is doing it correctly, it's an institution that really provides equitable resources and support to help our Latinx students advance. And equity needs to be at the forefront for an HSI that's doing that designation. Its service. And I think it's important for employers to know that, especially in today's day and age, because one, right, you want to have diverse hires for sure, but it goes so much more beyond that, right? You want to support these people in their careers, and knowing that HSIs exist, that's going to be your go-to place to recruit some top talent for sure.
Absolutely. Just such, I think, And HSIs are growing every day and all the time, right? You always see, like, I know there's universities that are announcing all the time that, hey, now they've became an HSI designated. And that has to do also with the growth of the Latino population being one of the youngest and the fastest growing. So definitely something for our employer partners, those tuning in, to pay attention to, right? In terms of accessing talent. And us is proud to have partnerships with several HSIs, and Melanie, you're one example of that. Thank you, Joe, for the nice comments and the shout out for Melanie. We appreciate your engagement. Those of you, please get your questions ready, your comments. We're going to have some time to address those. And so you touched on this when you talked about what HSI means and what it stands for. And there's so much alignment with ASA's theme for the year. So this year, it's we lead at the intersection of identity, equity, unity. So, right, the identity piece is being really representing the diversity of what our U.S. Hispanic Latino cohort represents, whether it's country of origin, whether it's generational, whether it's we speak Spanish or not, whether we're also part of the Black community, LGBTQ. There's so much there. And you touched on it in terms of the identity that the students have chosen, whether it's Hispanic or Latinx, at their designated universities. The second one about equity, like how are we meeting individuals where they are, but as individuals, how are we advocating for ourselves to help, improve these spaces that we're in? And then the unity around allyship. And so, Melanie, for you, what does that mean in terms of the theme, and what comes to mind for you?
Yeah, I think that the theme that ASA has chosen this year is so timely and so important. I think that for me, we all hold so many different identities, like you said, right? And I think that there's been a lot of focus also on like the diversity and inclusion piece, which are important, but they're not going to create sustainable change without equity being included. And I think that that's super important. And I think, with the unity piece, I think we've had so much division, as of late. And I think that unity is what's going to help build us and help us to go forward, right? Because we're stronger together. And so I think that really does encompass everything that I stand for and everything that I do, in my day-to-day career, for sure.
And even, I would add, Melanie, because I had an opportunity to attend a meeting that you all had. So the Mujeres alumni board here in Chicago, they're still meeting during the pandemic, doing some programming, but most importantly, supporting one another. Mm-hmm. And, one of the ways that you were opening up was just checking in. What do you need? What's going on right now? And I think that sometimes that's the equity piece, is how are we ensuring we're checking in individually and helping support individuals where they are. And I think that's so critical more than ever. And you've exhibited that through your leadership on the board and with the ladies, the team that you have there, but also with the students that you're working with. I thank you for your responses. So those of you tuning in, please share, what are your thoughts when it comes to the identity, equity, unity piece? And Adriana, thank you for the comment. Excelencia in education. So more research in terms of HSIs. Thank you for sharing that resource. We appreciate it. We want to make sure that we're creating awareness, and with your support, we're able to do that. So please feel free to share your resources, comments, and questions there. So it is Women's History Month. We just celebrated International Women's Day on Monday. Lots of great posts and celebration and recognition. For me, right, it starts with at home. We all think of our moms, like my mom, our abuelitas, our matriarchs of the family that really have shaped who we are today as women, as employees, as mothers. What would you say, like, why, as a Mujer de ASA alumni, why are our programs and women-focused programs and recognition, why is that so critical in your opinion?
I think that we should always be in a place where we want to continue to learn, like always learning, always growing. And I think for me, those type of programs have been instrumental in my growth, professionally and personally. Participating in the Mujeres de ASE program had such an impact in my life that I've had people, not even in my professional world, notice a difference, right? In the way I carried myself, in the way I communicated, in the way that I led. And so I think that in addition to giving you the tools that you want to grow in your career, it also gives you that community piece, which I think is super, super important. Like I still, when I went through the Mujeres de HACE program, it had such an impact that I wanted to continue my involvement. So I joined, the auxiliary board in Chicago. And I still talk to women from my cohort. They're on the board now. And so I think that community piece is super important, right? Because what's going to help you grow is, yes, hard work, but community, because you need people along the way who are going to advocate for you, who are going to support you, who are going to mentor you. And I think that if there's a chance to get involved, Mujeres de HACE or any program that's building that community amongst mujeres is really, really important.
Melanie, can you add on, because you are a mom, and how has being a not just one, you have a handful.
I do.
Because I know we have moms tuning in who are balancing being a mom and then working, and then you're so involved. How do you, I don't want to say balance, because I know, in Mujeres de HACE, we don't say balance. You integrate, we prioritize, we shift as we evolve in our careers. How do you do it? And what advice do you have for those tuning in?
I mean, I'll be totally transparent. It's not without its hardships, right? It definitely can get overwhelming at times, but it takes a village. So I have such a supportive community here at home that helped me, my husband, my sister, and then it's always my mom even. And it's all about kind of promoting that community, but prioritizing your time. And so I will be honest, like the pandemic in itself, it's had its lot of negative effects, but it's helped me personally because it's saved up so much time in commute that I'm able to kind of, add on things and manage. But definitely you can't do it alone. So I would say if you're a mom and you want to be involved, one, like, follow your dreams, right? It's okay to follow your dreams and be a mom. You don't have to feel guilty, although it's natural. We have mom guilt. But also speak up. Like if you need the help and you have a goal, like ask those around you to help, because that for me has really, really been instrumental in being able to still be involved, still be a mom, because I've had that help and support and people cheering me on along the way to kind of get to where I want to be.
No, that's great. And it was a newborn, right? Within the last year? Can I still call him a newborn?
Yeah, he's not one yet. He's 9 months. So I have 4 boys.
Okay.
The youngest is 9 months. But they're good. They're a lot of fun. They keep me going for sure.
Yeah, and so I'm sure we get to see them in meetings every now and then, and that's great. And I think it's just so critical. There's so much that we're seeing with women, Latinas, women of color specifically, being impacted by the pandemic, and which is why I do believe that programs and resources such as Mujeres de HACE are critical more than ever. And so I just want to throw in, right, that we have our spring deadline. The programs are 100% virtual, so wherever you are, you can participate online. But the deadline is March 15th. And if you are a nonprofit, education, government, there are scholarships and tuition support available through an American Express grant that ASA has to be able to support you. So go to the website. I'm a resource. Melanie's a resource. But we also have Melanie's partner in crime for Mujeres de HACE. I do want to give her a shout out to Katia Benitez, who's co-chair for the auxiliary board here in Chicago. So thank you to Katia. As we're celebrating women and featuring Mujeres this month, we want to make sure we're throwing out all of the women that make things happen, because as to your point, Melanie, it takes a village, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so grateful for the board and Katia and everybody on there who's been an amazing support.
Awesome. So please have your questions ready. We have a few minutes left. If there's any questions or comments from the audience, please share, like, and comment. We want to get this information out to those. And Jackie, hi Jackie, another fellow Mujer de HACE alumni, board member. Nice to see you on here. I think she provides you to be successful in. Are you asking us to fill in the dot maybe? What do you think, Melanie?
Oh my God. The biggest answer probably I would have to that, honestly speaking, is advocating for myself. Like Mujeres de HACE gave me the tools to advocate for myself, to be my own advocate when it came to my career and my growth and equity and pay and all of that. Like I've had those conversations with the multiple supervisors I've had, and I've had good results from it. So I think it definitely gives you the tools to advocate for yourself, for sure.
And that's so critical in playing our individual role in building equity in the places that we're in, right? There's one piece in terms of the organization, whether it's structure, the employer hiring process and all of that. but there's also the piece in terms of as individual leaders and contributors within organizations, and that's one of them. And we hope that, especially since women and Latinas have been impacted, that our employers are thinking creatively and innovatively to help those that perhaps been out of the workforce for a couple months, to help close that gap. And then that's something that we're thinking about, not only through Mujeres Asset, but programs and resources that we're offering as well. So Melanie, if there are no other questions, I'm going to ask you, what are you most hopeful for this year?
So personally, I'm hopeful that I'm going to finish my doctorate degree this year. That's been long running, so I'm hopeful to be done with that. I think overall, I'm hopeful that this is going to be a year of growth and unity, like HACE's mission. I think the Latinx community is doing a lot, and I hope that we continue to unify ourselves and do that together through allyship to continue to grow and make some real positive change.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. And any advice for young women tuning in that are just getting started in their careers that you would share?
Yeah, I would say the advice that I have is never quit, for sure. Like just keep working hard. One of the greatest pieces of advice that actually my mom gave me when I wanted to do things, but I was kind of unsure if, I could do it, or there's that imposter syndrome or just a lot of fear around whether or not you're going to be successful, right? When you want to try something new. And so the piece of advice that she gave me that I would give to others is she would say, feel the fear and do it anyway. Go after your goals, whether you feel intimidated or you have all these doubts. If it's something that you feel strongly about, just continue to push forward and take those alongside you, right? Because we don't grow alone. We take people with us, and we continue to empower the next generation to also grow and move forward, right? You got to pay it forward when you benefit. So I would say that that's probably my biggest piece of advice. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Feel the fear and do it anyway. There's different, opinions on the imposter syndrome. I think one thing that I'm shifting and starting to look at it as it is a positive thing. I think it's important to recognize it, right. But because it is fear. At the end of the day, it's like if you're saying, oh, I don't belong here, or what am I doing here? It's that voice that we all have in our head that sometimes that is coming from fear. But I think it's acknowledging it, and to your point and to your mom's advice, is doing it anyways. If you are in a certain room, in a certain position, reminding yourself, talking back to yourself and saying, I do belong. Absolutely. I have add so much value here, and I'm here for a reason. But I think that sometimes it keeps us balanced, right? To be able to have that humility, and especially that's a strong traditional cultural value that we as Latinos have, is that humility piece. And but ensuring that, hey, we shift and we advocate for ourselves. We have to get comfortable tooting our own horns, advocating for ourselves, and playing our role in building equitable workspaces for ourselves. But then we, Latinas and women, we impact our families, our communities, and the workplaces that we represent. And so there's so much richness there. Melanie, and thank you to all of you tuning in. Please share, get in touch with Melanie. This is also a platform for you all to network with one another, share your LinkedIn, send messages. And again, if you're interested in learning more, Mujeres de Asset, please go to our assetonline.org website. The deadline is on March 15th. And again, there are scholarships and tuition support available. So thank you again. And Melanie, for your time and for your insights. We appreciate all that you do. Congratulations on being a 2021 Mujer de Asset awardee. Y todos tuning in, all of you tuning in, hasta la próxima. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.